I'm going to really be quite brief, and it's a big story, but I'm not going to tell it. I mean, I wrote the book because I started to talk to people I grew up with in Milngavie in a nice council scheme, and I couldn't get over how many deaths there had been. And there was one guy in particular who kept telling me, every time I met him, he would say, you know, here's these other people that died as well. And when I said to him, why do you think it is? He said, many of our fathers in the terrorist, this crescent they grew up in, had fought in the war. They had post-traumatic stress disorder. It was a lot of drinking. And you might not know this, Milngavie was always a big drinking den. I mean, it really was. There were a lot of pubs in Milngavie. People used to go to Milngavie to drink. It was always drunk men stoking about. And there was a lot of domestic violence. And that was why he said. He intuitively understood adverse childhood experiences. It wasn't my experience, and I was dealing with health issues myself, as my sisters were, and I started to see my health issues through that lens as well. And mine was a scary father, dyslexic in a 1950s primary school that was brutal. I mean, you got belted for the most basic things. I was hospitalised, you know, for 6 weeks. Anyway, it was a whole series of them. And so I started to think, and when I spoke to people, I really didn't think my experiences were that different from other people's. I mean, I really didn't think they were. And I think Scotland's Achilles heel is bringing up children. I think it's our major weakness. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at Scottish history and modern culture and saying you can see it within our culture for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. If you were to go and look at the Scottish books, the novels that we've got, the plays, the films, they are steeped in aces, and no one has commented on them. People will talk about, you know, Scottish literature as if it's some kind of metaphor for the relationship between Scotland and England. Look at Sunset Song. I mean, people treat that as if it's this wonderful, idyllic, rural, you know, community. It's a brutal book about adverse childhood experiences. That's why I thought, the more I looked at it, I thought, this is hiding in plain sight. It's obvious. It's drink, it's drugs, you know, we're the cocaine capital of the world. It's violence. Scotland has been very high in violence. There was institutional violence and corporal punishment in schools and so on. When, not that long ago, we've never discussed it. We just had to stop doing it because of Europe. Not because there was a campaign or we actually faced up to what we were doing to our children. Our European neighbours didn't do that. Our English neighbours might, but not to the same extent that we did. So I think there's a lot of issues here. But I'm just going to finally say, I think that we as well pride ourselves on things that are actually part of adverse childhood experiences. You think about those mugs that people buy saying Egypt on them, or, you know, away in Bailia Heads or whatever. I mean, we think that that's a good thing about Scotland. And actually, when you look at the adverse childhood experiences literature, it's saying, you know, that they're all bad. You know, you would think that sexual abuse might be worse than, you know, watching domestic abuse or whatever, but it doesn't work like that. Emotional abuse seems to be marginally worse, and it's humiliation. We have humiliation is endemic within Scottish culture. Now, I love Scotland as much as the next person, but that's partly why I want to see us address it, change it, accept it, think about what it's meant for us and what it means for the future generation. But I want to end on one wee thing, because I think that what has happened is a lot of people like me who grew up with quite an authoritarian father have gone from one extreme to another extreme. And there's a lot of indulgent, overprotective parenting in Scotland at the moment, which is not particularly good for children. And my wee worry about ACEs, and as you know, I'm committed to it, I've spent a lot of time on it, is that actually it feeds that sense that we have to protect our children. We have to make a distinction between toxic stress and everyday stress, which we can't prevent. And actually, you know, it's the stuff of life, and we can't protect our children from that. So we really need to understand this properly. And I think it's really important that schools do, because otherwise this is going to end up being worse for you than it currently is. Okay. So thank you very much, and it's great.